This is a wax carving demonstration on how to create an original wax ring which could then be used in casting, and this has been done in the studio. Okay, so if you came along to a casting course, these would be the 3 waxes that we would use, but the one I'm going to show you a demonstration of today is this one, and it's like a long hard tube of wax. And what we do is we slice a piece off, the width roughly of our ring, a little bit bigger, and then using a mandrel which has got like a sharpened blade in there, it gradually pares down the wax on the inside, getting it to the size that you want it to be. So I've just speeded that up because we can whiz through this bit. So as we're cutting, you can see the curls of wax that are coming off, and we will keep going until we get to the correct ring size. Now let's just have a look. Now the blade is along that edge. Let me just get you a close-up picture of that so you can see a little bit better. There we go. So you've got like a blade that runs alongside the mandrel, and as you twist, the wax comes away from the inside. Just remove any loose bits that is left there. So once we've got it to the right sort of size and the hole's much bigger and we can get our finger in, that's when we then start thinking about what sort of design we would like our ring to be. This is just going to be a very, very rough guide to a ring. We've taken a file, and Teresa is just generally sketching the outline of a ring. There's going to be a raised piece at the top which would take a gemstone, and then sort of a bit like mountains coming down the side. Obviously if you were coming on the casting course, you'd have much more time to decide exactly what you wanted your ring to look like. Possibly you would have some inspiration pictures with you, or maybe even some drawings that you've done yourself of what you would like it to be. But for this demonstration we're just moving along quite quickly. So using a pendant motor with a small round burr tool in the end, we're just pushing this and rubbing it along, and what that actually does is wipes away all of the wax that we don't need. So using our little lines as guidelines and using the burr just to take away the weight of the wax. Now what Teresa's doing here is just making sure that we're pulling inwards, not just taking it away in a smooth line. As you notice when you look at most rings, you have a step that goes up to the metal that encases the stone. She's creating the same thing but in wax. That movement there with the burr was to go inwards and make space for the stone itself that will be in the ring. And as the pictures are moving, it's probably not that easy to see, so let me show you more clearly. There we go. You can see there there's a central hole which your stone will go into, and the wax that goes around the edge will obviously then be silver, and that gives you a better look of what the sides are. And you can see there's a certain amount of texturing that's been done to the sides of the rings and around the bottom, and all that's been done with the burr. Now if we just pare it down a little bit, because it's quite large, it's quite bulky, and if you were to wear that on your finger it would probably dig in, especially once this whole thing's been made in silver. It would be a very heavy, cumbersome ring, and you have to think about the cost of materials. Now using a different sized burr, we can start to make small indentations around the ring. Now this can be either for 2 reasons. We can make little indentations with different size burrs and use them to surface set little tiny stones in after the ring's been cast, or it could just purely be for decoration, and all we're doing is taking away some of the weight, making the ring very interesting to look at because you've got different textures and different levels, but you've also got less weight. Or if you preferred, all these little indentations could have tiny little stones in, and it would look very, very attractive, bringing detailing all the way around the shank as opposed to just at the top. I think the great thing about being able to carve wax like this and make your own ring is that you're creating something that's totally personal to you. Coming on a casting course like this would show you each step of what you want to do and allow you to make your own. We've taken a file now, and what we're doing is just softening the edges on the inside, making sure that you haven't got a harsh, sharp edge. Now, talking about softening edges, using a small paraffin lamp that has quite a cool flame, and I mean cool as in temperature, not oh it's cool. Sorry. We can just pass the wax ring through. What that will do is any little tiny flyaway pieces that got caught will be melted into the rest of the ring. Any sharp edges that have been left by the burr are softened and sort of amalgamated into the rest of the ring. So we do this for a while, making sure that there's no bits that we've missed, that all the pieces are softened and smoothed and the edges, nicely rounded. If you were to cast this with very sharp edges, you'd end up with a silver ring with sharp edges, and then you would need to file that ring back to make it smooth and wearable. It's much more simple to do it at this stage, when you can just use a flame to soften wax, than to end up with a solid material like silver and having to do it with a file. So we're going to keep doing that, making sure that we don't melt it too far, that we don't get fingerprints in it or anything like that. And just keep going until you're happy with the end result. As I say, if you come on the casting course, you've got time to make something exactly what you want. This is just a rough idea to give you, a pointer in the right direction and maybe tempt you to come on the course. So the original ring was made by Teresa Spear, who owns and runs in the studio. So you could come along and see the website, see what we've got on offer. We really do have an awful lot of courses. Or check out our Facebook page. But we'd love to see you. Thanks. Bye.